So Robert can't, our property manager cannot be with us today, so, but he was nice enough to send this over, which is the rental market report. So I appreciate that, and I'm gonna put the readers on. Oh, we have it up here, I don't need them.
Darn it.
So 1 bedroom rental, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom rentals, it's all broken down by that and how the market's going. Multifamily compared to single family, I love that is there. The median rent. Shows if it's gone up or down. Is there a part that shows that? What did you say?
On the graph.
On the back it does, okay.
Yeah, slowly going up.
So he's told us for, so City of Reno, 1 month change, 3 month change, 12 month change, so it's still up from 12 months ago and up from 3 months ago, but we're seeing some trends trending down in the retail sales of real estate. So it kind of trends with it sometimes, but we saw a shortage of rental properties. And do any of you guys have rental, how many people have rental properties? Okay, are you guys seeing any trends that you want to share? Are you having any trouble getting your places rented? Are you still getting 10, 20 applications straight out of the gate, 100 applications? That's awesome. Yeah, come on in, here for the investor group. Yeah, go ahead and take one of those and one of these and. Thank you. You're welcome. So, for everyone, I'm Ginger Marcus. I am a residential real estate agent here in Reno, Nevada. Why we're in this room at Keller Williams. I work with Keller Williams. There's a couple of other agents in the room, Keller Williams and otherwise. And this is an investors group. So if you're here to learn about investing or to network with other investors, you're in the right spot. Come on in, go ahead and grab handouts if you want before you have a seat. And right now, how's it going? She's our host last month.
Yay.
Thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. She's also a real estate agent here. So we've been running this investor group since about 9 years ago. We started out we merged 2 investor groups together, and then we kind of bounced around at first, but we've been in this building, this area or this actual room for the last 7.5 years. So we appreciate Keller Williams allows us to use this room. However, anything that's said as far as speakers or myself goes while I'm in this room with you guys, it's not necessarily subscribed to or supported by Keller Williams. They just let us use the room. So on that note, the market, the real estate market itself, or the rental market, does anyone want to talk about that? Does anyone have any issues getting their places rented out? Anyone? So I'll just say a couple things that Robert normally says. If you have the right price in rent, there's the median price points in the right area. He likes the 3 to 4 bedroom. The 1 and 2 bedroom, he has a tendency to have a little bit more difficulty, and then depending on how much they're renting out for. But the cycles, you can see this little dip, this little going down. I don't know if that means anything. It's such a short period of time, but it means something. What does that mean? So when we had a dip in the market last time, in the rental market, what happened then? Did anyone have properties then? Or did you lose more? Some people did. They lost a bunch of properties. So I started seeing, my husband and I started seeing a trend like this. And instead of being creative, like the things that I know now, creative financing and lease options and all that kind of stuff, we sold off our properties. We didn't have a ton, but we sold off our properties, and luckily we sold them here. Of course, the market was going like this in the rental market, and then it started like dipping down quickly. We weren't getting the numbers we wanted. How many of you guys are investing in Fernley and Fallon areas? Anyone? Let's get that then. You guys can go to rsar.net and find these reports on a monthly basis. Usually about 5 business days in, they have for the previous month. So this is actually September's numbers. And it gives you kind of a synopsis. There's something you can read that gives you some ideas of what's going on. And then they have charts. So how many new listings, how many units sold. September 22, we're down 14.9% as far as listings sold. New contracts that we're getting, we're down 18. Am I looking at the right year over year? We're down 28.8% from the previous year. How long it's taking for a home to go under contract? When that number is going up, that's a sign right there. I mean, it's taking longer for people to actually put in an offer, an accepted offer on properties. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, good. Some people are smiling. They're like, I've already looked at this. Median sold price. So again, you see that little thing going down. So is it still higher than what it was previously? Yeah, our median price point is now currently at $535. That's for Reno Sparks only. But combined, Reno is a little higher, Sparks is a little lower. So 535, it was September of 2021, it was at 532. So we're actually up 0.5% from what we were same time last year. So the prices are still strong. People are still coming in from California. We still have a shortage of inventory, but the buyers are kind of taking, they're putting on the brakes. Come on in. Find a seat. There's seats up there. Why are the buyers putting the brakes on? Does anyone want to share their ideas on that? Come on in. Go ahead and take some of the handouts and have a seat.
Interest rates prevent you from buying as much house.
Interest rates, very good. Anything else? Any other reasons?
How much worse is it gonna get?
How much worse? Uncertainty, absolutely. What else creates uncertainty? I like that you said that word. So when people are uncertain, they tend to pause. They tend to not want to make a decision.
What would your question be?
Sure. So, so we still have a strong market, but what is causing the days to contract to slow down? Buyers are putting the brakes on.
There's more inventory, the interest rates are up.
Right, right. So there's more inventory, rates are up, uncertainty. What's something else?
There's talked about like recession or potential unemployment, and like that type of.
Really? Okay.
Credit scores raising to get your mortgages
Oh, harder to get a mortgage. Okay.
way harder.
Mhm.
I heard the average was like 792, 786.
Oh,
now.
wow, that's pretty high.
Yeah,
Holy schmoly.
it's
no
brutal.
wonder.
No,
786.
yeah.
So you can get a loan below that, but it's definitely more strict for sure. Does anyone think politics has anything to do with the presidency, the waiting for the election? I think after the election, a lot of people are gonna be like, okay, now the uncertainty, the things that I don't know, now I know what's gonna happen, whoever gets voted in. Then they're gonna be like, okay, now I know what I'm gonna do, you know, I'll throw money back in the stock market, or I'm gonna put it on my mattress, or I'm gonna buy a house, whatever. On that note, does anyone have anything that they want to talk about before we go around the room, find out who's in the room, and then have our speaker come up? All right.
I got a quick question. There was,
Yes.
last meeting last month, there was talk about possible institution of rent control. Is that, is there an update? Has anyone heard that?
I heard the same rumor. I haven't heard any updates on it. And I heard it as a rumor. I didn't hear it from anyone necessarily. I think it's been thrown around. And I've heard it's gonna be voted on. I don't know. Maybe someone in this room can shed some light on that.
Last I heard it was going into legislature June 23.
Okay, there you go.
What did she say?
Going into rent control, going into legislature June 23rd or June 2023. So we'll have to
Get out the vote.
yeah. I think, yeah. So hopefully it's the next person gets elected this next, time around is a real estate owner locally.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. That'd be ideal. Great question. Anything else? Any other questions that someone wants the group to answer? Because I honestly am not the. Some of you guys have way more experience than me in investing. So. Any topics you want to talk about, John? You always have some really good tidbits. I always throw you under the bus. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Otherwise, I'm
Again,
gonna-
when I can't speak.
Well, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go around the room, tell everyone, who we are, what we're looking for, if you're looking to get something out of today from the speaker, or if you have something to sell, or you're looking for something to buy, or invest in, or partner with, or whatever, if you're looking for a handyman or a contractor, or whatever, electrician, definitely throw that out there. I am having trouble finding really qualified handymen that can do a little bit more than your average screw in someone that can do a little bit more, almost contractual, like a contractor can do, but maybe is just a handyman, doesn't need to do that level of stuff, so. If anyone has that, I am an investor, I am looking for multifamily, so off market or on market doesn't matter for me. I'm not the one that likes the stinkiest, dirtiest property out there, so I'm not that level, but I am real specific. I like things either in the Northwest or Midtown or down south would be nice, but usually I can't find things in the price point I want down here, and there's not a lot of multifamilies down here, so. So that's what I'm looking for. Do you mind if we start with you over here?
Not at all. I'm Joel Blakeslee. I'm a Ferrari on real estate. I've been in business for 38 years. Been an investor for most of that time. I've got some free and clear properties and some cash and looking for an opportunity. Some like a triple net commercial if I could find a good on the road.
Anything specific commercial wise?
Just something that makes money and it's, a nice lease, long-term lease.
Okay. Awesome.
I'll take his leftovers.
Right?
Actually, Joel and I have been partners.
Oh.
So
Nice.
very knowledgeable. Any questions about residential market? Especially out towards private house in that area. He's the guy. Actually, I kind of head up an exchange group that meets once a week. It's for realtors only. But I think that we're going to see a lot of the things that we used to do back in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, when interest rates were at 15–18%. So and what we did then was we did a lot of seller carry second mortgages, leaving the first mortgage in place. We did wraparound, which is basically taking your equity as an owner and wrap a loan around the existing first. So taking advantage of the 2%, 3% loans that people have who need to sell. I think that's part of the market too, is that people are looking, they wanted to sell, but now they're looking at 2%, they're paying now or 3% payment, and look at what they got to buy at a higher price at 7%, 6%, and decided to just stay where they are for a while. So I think that the market's obviously changing, but I think there'll be some opportunity for creative real estate. Is probably really overused, but for people will be more open to things because you don't plan on trying to get run over by 20 people anymore. People, the market's going to slow down. I think. I don't think it's going to, fall off the cliff like it did in 08. It was kind of a different thing, but I think it's definitely going to slow down and probably come down a little bit. So I think there's going to be some opportunities for people. I have a friend who just put we started calling, he's a realtor, calling expired listings. And asking the realtor, what's the first mortgage? How big's the
The
first
seller,
mortgage?
yeah,
And what's the interest rate? And he just got a deal put together that,
wow,
he's taking over, 2 point something% loan on, on seller carry, which he has to existing, and he can put down $100,000 or something.
wow,
Assuming the property's $500,000 or something. Assuming a 2%, not assuming, but taking a subject.
yeah,
Subject to means that, I will take your loan. I'm gonna take it subject to, you're still gonna be on the loan. But I'm gonna make the payments, same thing with the wraparound mortgage. So it allows the seller to sell, get some cash, get payments maybe that was carrying in addition to that. So there's a lot of benefits for the seller. It's not a one-way street. But it's also a way for buyers to buy something maybe that he wouldn't be able to afford otherwise. So I'm a realtor, by the way, and
his name is John.
an investor, mostly commercial. So I've got property in Ohio and here and property in Arizona. So I haven't bought anything here in a long time. Just I haven't, unlike Mitch, haven't been able to find anything that made a lot of sense. But so that's it. Sorry to take so much time.
No, thank you for that. I've noticed, the openness to owner financing, owner carries also, like you mentioned, people are a little more receptive, I'm finding. Are you finding that too? Yeah. It's like, they're like, either what's that? And then, yeah, so they're a little bit more open to that than they were.
Counseling the client, you have to bring that up.
Yeah, yeah. So I kind of like that. I always ask. I'm willing to owner carry just because a lot of you guys.
My name's Mikey. I'm sort of a beginning investor, own a couple units around Midtown, and a couple units up in Oregon, and yeah, sort of here to hear about some tax savings
Nice,
abilities. So yeah.
awesome.
I'm Jen. I work here, Keller Williams. I'm an agent. I'm brand new to real estate and I want to be brand new into investing. I'd like to get a rental property, so I'm kind of just feeling it out to see where to go.
Yeah, we're gonna skip over you because you're gonna be right.
Hi, I'm Loretta Young and I'm a new investor looking to get DSCR loan, pre-approved loan, so I can invest in some multi-family property.
Jim Clip, Atlas Red Realty. I'm looking for 200 grand.
I get straight to the point. Do you want to explain what a DSCR loan is for everyone? Sorry.
What I understand, it's a loan not based on your W-2 income. It's more based on the income from the property that you're buying.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure everyone knew who that was, because I know sometimes I forget, but not everyone knows, so thank you.
Hi, my name is Jason Lin. I'm a government employee looking to branch out, put some assets into obviously real estate investing. Looking for kind of like syndications, multi-families, things of that nature. Looking to potentially try to find partners for like apartment complexes, things of that nature. So if there's anyone interested, I'd like to see if we can talk after the meeting.
I'm Joel Peterson, and I'm a best-selling co-author, and I'm actually a suicide specialist for our military, our first, second, third responders, and our veterans. I'm looking to get into government contracting in relationship to the developmental agencies and the rural agencies. And I want to get my real estate license so that I could be multifaceted with the suicide corporation that I just created.
Hi, I'm Kristen Kane. Well, I'm here basically to learn and meet new people. I'm also trying to see if there's like any deals that are available. I'm looking into buying investment properties, just like multifamilies like Ginger. And also
Tell me
maybe.
first about, no, I'm just. We can go into that.
Yeah, just want to see if there's any deals around, looking to buy properties, investment properties, and, now I lost the train of my thought. I'm basically just here to meet new people and to learn about investing.
My name is Chris. I'm pretty new to real estate investing. I'm here to really just learn and, try to get more knowledge about the local area here. I'm born and raised here, so I know the area pretty well. I am looking to get my license, so I've already passed the test. It's just a matter of just finding the broker. And thank you. Yeah, and I don't own any properties, well, besides my primary. That's about it. So just looking to network and learn.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bradley Claudianos. I work in acquisitions for a capital firm, and we buy RV parks, campgrounds, and marinas. And we have a fund set up for these types of properties that we're raising some capital for. So I just wanted to come in and see if anybody was interested in that asset class. It's a little bit different than multifamily, but if anybody's interested or ever thought about investing in outdoor hospitality, then be happy to talk to you about it after. And I have part of a deal, I own part of a deal in Iowa, an RV resort.
Thanks. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. I'm Isabel Foley. I'm a real estate agent and a novice investor. I just bought my first rental property here actually in Reno last month.
Congrats.
I'm excited to be at this meeting today to learn more about tax advantages.
Very good.
And I'm looking for a CPA.
Very good. Perfect. Hi.
Hi, I'm Barbara Cox, and I am a private lender. Private lending and hard money lending is the same thing. I lend to investors that have projects that make sense and have enough equity in the deal so that it's not too dangerous for my lending. I lend out of my solo 401k, which is my retirement account. And I finally sold my rental property. I was trying to do the owner financing and I got a couple offers that just didn't work. I ended up just selling it outright because there's really not a lot of people that understand seller financing.
Yeah, just the people in
Even the agents.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The agents, they don't know. Yeah.
So it was harder to, I wanted to do seller financing, but it was hard to sell it that way. So now I sold it and I owe some tax. So I was hoping. I'm like, I don't know if there's anything I can do, but you never know.
Yeah.
You can try it.
Mr. Close?
Yeah, cool. Why did you have something? You have an idea? Too late.
Yeah, once you close, it's done.
Yeah.
Qualified opportunities. Gotcha. It's on the
There
slide.
you go.
Qualified opportunity.
You just got something in its head.
Yay. A solar.
On your house, I don't know, that guy over there can tell you the possibility.
Oh, that's an idea.
We have $27,000 write-off.
Cool. And you just did yours?
Last year.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's too late for that or not.
No, the credit still applies. We can, yeah, in fact, they extended it.
How long does it apply?
You gotta get your deal done in 2022. So that's where you see. If you haven't started the process yet, it has to be installed in 22.
They extended it.
No, I know, but if she sold her property in 22, she's gotta have
So
her
it
solar
has to be
installed in
fully
22 to
installed.
qualify for credit.
Yeah.
By December 31st? Yeah. Okay.
Only to qualify. That's a whole nother subject.
I'm Michael Rayburn. I'm with Pacific Residential Mortgage, and not necessarily a competitor, but another resource in financing. And we do offer quite a bit for commercial investors, commercial property, multifamily, unit, fix and flip, development, land development, short-term bridge loans, all of it. And we do offer DSCR loans as well. non-QM. The DSCR stands for debt service coverage ratio, which is a ratio that's developed between what mortgage is and what your total rents are on the unit. So we don't look at taxes, we don't look at big stuffs. We don't, all we do is pull credit, look at business or personal bank statements, and that's it. It's pretty simple. We lend nationwide, non-recourse loans on portfolios as well. So single family and multi-unit as well. So I'm just here to really just offer my services as well as learn. I'm really, it's new to me as well. I'm learning the product end of it because obviously it's what we offer, but also wanted to learn more and more and see what the needs are in the community and if we can offer our services.
Sure. Maybe invest for yourself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, definitely.
I'm Mark Glenn, I'm a commercial broker. Been in the business about 40 years, own a company called Industrial Properties of Nevada. Main thing my wife and I are doing now is investing in residential lots. That's been kind of our number one thing. We also own industrial properties, but just been interested in on the residential side of things. That's
So
about
lots, like vacant lots?
it. Vacant lots,
Love it.
that number, yeah.
Yeah, we've been, the owner, not the owner, but the franchise, but the leader of our company, Gary Cutler, since 2 years ago, is like, buy up land, now's the time to buy land. As it keeps creeping up. So good for you.
Hi, I'm Dan Thornton. I'm just a local investor in single family rentals for a few years. What am I looking for? I'm kind of waiting to see right now.
Okay, awesome.
I'm Brian Torrey. Business and vision. We're brand new to investing, just trying to learn everything we can from anybody looking for mentors.
Very good.
And I'd like to get a real estate license also.
Very good. Sounds good.
I'm Maria Pinto. I'm a new agent with Keller Williams, and I also want to get involved in investing in here to learn.
I'm Janelle Maribel. I'm also an agent here at Keller Williams. I'm new also. And I have a couple pieces of land here, and one of them I want to get rid of. One of them's in Right Patch, Lovelock area. It's
One of them's a prime opportunity.
I'm struggling with the quick claim deed process on it because we purchased both of them at a tax sale, a county tax sale. So anybody that has information on that, I've been reaching out to title companies, but a lot of them are saying 2 years, and it's been almost 2 years since we've had both properties. So, yeah, pretty much it, here to learn and network.
Awesome.
I'm Mitch. I'm not a Keller Williams agent. I'm in no way a realtor. I like to buy value add real estate. It can be commercial or commercial residential. I like the stinky ones that Ginger doesn't.
I won't even go into the stinky ones anymore. I don't know my heightened senses
You're
now. I'm not going in, it's like on your own.
Rich Tower, I'm a controller for a private company. My real estate and business broker license. Just did my first year renewal. Drag that is.
Wow, man.
And I'm just coming off a private money loan. And have some capital.
Hi, my name is Chad. I just moved here to Reno a month ago to start a fund so we can build 100 rent houses up in northern Reno. I'm also a mortgage broker. I have debt service coverage ratio loans that are with non-QM funds as well. So I don't need tax returns or even bank statements, and I can hit a 0.8 DSCR if the deal still has some good value to it. I also set up specialized savings accounts to bank in life insurance because that's the best way to help build your wealth over decades. And it's really excited to see the presentation because I mean, attend everyone in common and stuff.
Welcome.
Well, hey, Will, I'm fairly new to the area. I just moved here in July. And just improve us not to.
Very good. Do you want to go first?
Howdy, I'm Ryan, Ryan MC. Been here about a year, looking to get my first property, trying to house hunt, whether it's multi-family or single family, basically live in the unit. Either rent out the other rooms or if it's multi-family, the other units. Yeah, just looking more and looking for my first opportunity.
Great.
Did you hang with Keller Williams, the real guy working on the ginger markets?
Here to learn more, right?
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, you guys don't mind if I take your picture? Sign it on. It's forget to take pictures. And people online, I apologize. I always forget you guys. And do you want to go ahead and, oh, I thought I could like unmute you just by clicking on you. And do you guys want to unmute? And thank you. Do you want to tell us who you are and what you're looking for?
Hi, Ginger. Yeah, this is Ann Bollinger. I'm a realtor, not with Keller Williams. Not necessarily looking for much right now, but I do have one listing that's on the market at 515 York Way. It's priced at $352,600. It's great for the first-time home buyer. It would be good for an investor if you already have a strong portfolio. As an entry level, maybe not, because unless you're able to make the numbers work, you know, percentage down or something along those lines. But it could be an investment. Feel free to contact me.
Do you know what the rents are that you can get in that area?
No, it's Old Sparks near Pyramid in York.
Okay. Is the property like an A, B, or C property? What is it?
It is move-in ready, with some updates, new carpet, paint. I'd probably say a B.
Okay.
Old Sparks.
Wait,
Yes.
how much equity do they have in it?
How much equity they have in it? How much equity do they have in it, Ann?
A lot. But it's a probate sale. So it needs to sell. It can't be a seller finance or anything. It needs to sell.
The state could do something, but I don't know that they really usually want to. Thank you for that question. See them or something like what against that.
Thank you.
Doug.
And Ginger knows how to get a hold of me if anyone has any questions.
Okay, yes, I do. I have Ann's number. Doug, do you want to unmute? It's optional. If you stepped away or you have a yelling kid in the background, we totally understand. And that is everybody, right? Yeah, 4 people. Perfect. Okay, good.
You just unmuted.
What's that?
You just unmuted.
Oh, Doug, perfect. Go ahead. Are you speaking? Doug, we'd love to hear more about you. I don't know if your mic's working, Doug. If you want to put in the chat what you're looking for, and we'll share it with the rest of the group. So thanks for everyone for coming out. We're gonna get to our speakers. Sorry, there's a lot of you, so getting through everybody. Mike, I want to give you the opportunity to have as much time as possible, so I appreciate that. Sometimes it's nice going through the room so you know who's in the room.
I was gonna do it anyway.
Perfect. Okay, good. So I'm gonna let you, kind of run that. There's coffee machine in the back. There's bathrooms through both these doors right where you came in. That lobby area has the bathrooms. We do ask that you go through this door, so even if you feel like if you need to use the restroom or grab a drink of water or whatever, if you could go through this door, because that goes to a bunch of offices that they've asked us not to go through. So, other than that.
So, yeah, if you can, it's my slide deck up there.
Yeah, is it?
That's the one.
There you go, and.
Oh, yeah, where's the clicker? Awesome, thank you. All right. I will screw this. All right. My name's Mike Bosma. I'm a thing. Well, I'm a I'm a CPA by training. I worked at Deloitte, the #1 firm. Grant Thornton, the #5 firm. When I started my own firm, I just made that number up, 38,501, throwing out numbers. I then merged that firm with CliftonLarsonAllen, who's #8. That came with a 4-year commit, which I satisfied at the end of 2020. And I realized why I didn't like working for the big firms. And I was retiring. Actually, Rich was working with me at the time. And I was retiring. I too am a real estate salesperson, and I have my business broker's permit.
Nice.
So we're swimming in the same waters. And I just thought, I've done mergers and acquisitions activity for almost my entire professional career. And I'd say I'm pretty good at it, but as I was working, actually, I have a radio show on KOH. You guys listen to talk radio, Saturdays at 10, called Bosma Business. Had it for I think now 13 years. And through the Great Recession, we started with John Sanchez, Jamie Kalicki, and I. Back, that just passed away yesterday. I just kind of hit. But we started on the radio, doing talk radio, helping people get through their mess of the Great Recession, and people would call in. And we'd help unwind their stuff, and hey, I've got a bunch of. Did I mess it up already?
No, I gotta share the screen. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I knew it. It's all right. I'm not Italian, but I talk like. So when John went, he had his show 2 hours every Saturday at KOH. He went to the drive hours, which is 5 to 6, which is in radio a big thing, approximately 10 times the audience. And I said, hey, I have this idea for a radio show called Bosma on Business. Dan Mason, the program manager, Don, he's like, good, a CPA talking about business. I should put a sharp object in my eye. So I said, well, no, this is kind of the crazy stories I run in with people in business, and it's fascinating. And it really is. So, we've been doing that for a while. And, but what I found when I was retiring, air quotes retiring with CLA, I realized I was starting, my co-host on the show was, who was also my broker. She started bringing me her deals because she's like, man, you can really close the gap on getting deals done for buying and selling a business through tax planning. And that's true. So when I was retiring and CLA realized that the firm didn't work so well without me, bastards, I told them, they didn't believe me. I'm kidding. They're, according to my separation agreement, CLA is a good firm, and I will not speak disparagement against it. But yeah, having the CPA firm behind it was great. So as a business broker, I think today I started my 16th transaction this year. So if you know transactions, or if you just think about real estate, if you had 16 transactions a year, selling real estate, you're like, that's a big year. Normally, my average transaction size is about $5 million. So be that time, there's a lot of numbers behind it, a lot of comments. So one of my I can quote somebody else, but I like quoting myself. So tax planning is really investment planning. So whenever I talk about tax planning, I say tax planning is really investment. If you're going to sell your business, if you're going to sell your real estate, you're going to have a big pile of cash. And the question is, what are you going to do with the cash? And if you can be, if according to your investment philosophy, whoever your investment advisors are, if you want to deploy that in real estate, do some things, I can help tax advantage the heck out of that. Of course, we can either afford to pay, we can't afford to pay the tax, right? Like I have to do tax planning, right? You talk to your CPAs at the end of last year. I made a killing this year. How do I save money? What's the #1 way accountants tell their clients to save money on taxes? What do you think? Buy real estate. I never say that.
Spend more.
Spend more.
Move out of the country.
Buy the SUV. No, you're a big fancy real estate professional. Go buy a $100,000 SUV and you can write the thing off in year 1. And I'm just like, that's a terrible idea because that damn thing depreciates. It goes down in value, not up. Buy real estate. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take you through some kind of boring slides. I spiced it up in the middle because I realized that they were boring slides. I actually did these when I was with CLA. Boring, never mind, I can't say that. According to the separation agreement. So first thing you have to understand, if you're investing in real estate, what the passive activity loss rules are.
If you need my slides, leave me a card, give me your contact information, I'll send you the slides. Anybody vaguely familiar, ever heard of passive activity loss rules?
You can deduct them against your activity gains.
Passivity, I like it. It's kind of like positivity and passive act. I love it. Passive activity. Yes. So, and that's where usually is a threshold when people are thinking about, I want to dabble. I want to buy some real estate because I hear Donald Trump doesn't pay any taxes. I want to be not like Donald Trump, but I don't want to pay any taxes. That you're like, well, hey, if I invest in real estate like Donald Trump, I'm not going to have to pay taxes. Well, guess what? 1986, they changed the law and said, unless you're a real estate professional, more not to come, you cannot use your passive activity losses to offset your active income, your interest income, your trader business income, your W-2 income. So you can only offset it against passive losses. Okay, and basically, if you have rental real estate, it is per se passive. Now, there is one caveat to that. I just want you to say, I'm going to give you all of these things. I'm just trying to give you these nuggets, so you're going to like this animated CPA oxymoron. Animated CPA said on these little words, these little phrases, right? And Airbnb, right? Not subject to the passive activity loss rules if you're providing substantial services in connection with the Airbnb and the average rental is less than 7 days. One exception to these rules. Okay, so just one, right? Airbnb, write this down. So active participation. Now, the one thing, if you're under $150,000 of married, filing joint, under $150,000, if you have material participation, you can take $25,000 of loss against that. So, and so what I did is there are, that's the $25,000 of loss. Now, it's interesting on that. So a lot of times, remember what I said was tax planning is really financial advising. A lot of times, some of the most boring but best advice I'll ever give my clients are stop buying real estate and pay down the mortgage so that these things will make money because it's tax-free money. Okay, otherwise, you have a passive activity loss. It carries over to future years. So you subsequently just, permanently dispose of the property, and then you can take all those losses. Terrible, right? We got into this thing, but I really end up, kicking the can of being able to deduct those things. Okay, that's at $25,000 phased out as your income hit 150 grand, which is, I think, minimum wage here pretty quick. Right? Talking about rent controls, probably minimum wage be there in a minute. All right, give it a minute. Materially participating real estate professional. This is, if you're going to do any significant real estate investing, you have to get it. You have to get it. So a lot of times the way that works is you start your full-time job and then you start investing in real estate and then you're looking for real estate. You're managing the real estate. When the toilet clogs, you're plunging the toilet, doing all these things. And this key is to be a real estate professional. You have to work in the trader business of in real estate trades or businesses, more than half your time, minimum 750 hours. So the math is this. So full-time work, if you got a full-time job, I guess unless you work for the government, is 2,080 hours. Okay, so 750 is roughly a third. So you're 14 hours a week-ish. But if you have a full-time job and you say I'm a real estate professional, you're really saying I'm working at least 4,000 hours a year between my full-time job and the real estate trader business. And it just doesn't work that way. So that's where basically a full-time employee, you really can't take losses against any amount of significant active income. Okay, so I'm not going to go through these basically, and there's an election that I'm going to talk about in a minute, but basically to determine if you're actively engaged in a trader business, they have these rules by property, 500 hours. If you're like yours was the only activity, it's less than 100 hours or 100 hours or more, and significant participation, blah 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 blah. There's also the one, so like the retiring real estate caveat, the retiring real estate professional. As long as you're a real estate professional for 5 of the last 10 years, you still get the activity. Or facts and circumstances. Right? But, you know, and so that's where I was saying about the real estate professional, 750 hours, more than 50%. And this is why that matters to you. So back in Obama land, I'm trying to know my audience here, trying to be careful, but back when Obamacare came out, they came out with this thing called the net investment income tax. And when you sell your real estate, hopefully, if you did well, do you make money or lose money? You make money, right? That's like the idea in rental real estate oftentimes is I'm gonna make $1 or $2 on the rental. I make all, when I sell the thing at the end, I'm gonna make all my money, right? So you get that capital appreciation. Maybe you're actually sheltering your active income because you're taking depreciation, more than that to come. But I'm gonna sell this thing, cash out, retire, voila. Booyah, touch the thing, got music, I'll take it. There's a 3.8% net investment income tax that said if you have taxable income over a threshold, $250,000, married, filing, joint, you get to pay an extra 3.8% on your passive income. So what everybody does wrong, Channel 8 did I would say, around full disclosure, Channel 8 did a news article, news segment, maybe a month ago now, saying Reno is woefully under-resourced for CPAs and professionals. Like there's this crisis in Reno right now. So all of our top talents being exported out to California. I think 2 years running, I usually hire 2 or 3 people a year from UNR. 2 years running, we haven't been able to recruit anybody. So I finally went back and I asked everybody that we gave an offer to, where did you go and why? And they all said, I went to either go to California. Most of them said, I'm still living in Reno, but I'm working for a California CPA firm, making more money than Reno CPA firms can pay me. So what did I do as a business person?
Marketing to California.
Good. Go east, young man, not go west.
Go find somebody in Keene.
That's it. So, Midwest, right? Wages are depressed in the Midwest. I started hiring people all over the place. So now 25% of my firm is someplace that's not Nevada, When in Rome, right? You got to change your business model. So that's where it's like this. And so and the reason I mention that is, unfortunately, I in my professional career have operated at a very high level with some very sophisticated firms and strategies and all the rest of it. Some of those I'm going to share with you in a moment. But what I would say is, and Rich can attest to this, man, there's so many people that have no idea, no professionals, not you guys, but like CPAs, like people that are doing your taxes that have no earthly idea, they've never heard of anything that I'm about to talk about. And that's okay, right? But that's where, I try and do these things really as a public service to like, hey, when you go talk to your people that you're working with, and they're like, oh, you can't do that. Or, hey, when like this net investment income tax, you have this big exit out of your portfolio. You sell for $2 million and you end up with an extra 3.8% on that. That's $72,000 just because they didn't know to make this aggregation election. And as a real estate professional, what you do is instead of having, I got 14 rentals, you make this election, right? You check a box in your tax software and put them all together. Because these rules that I went through, like, is there anybody that spends more than 100 hours? No, I spend 5. If you have 14 rentals, can you spend 500 hours on each rental? No, right? That's too many hours in a year. Math doesn't work. So you say, no, I'm going to look at all my rental activities as one activity, one aggregated activity. And then I can meet that 500 hours easy, no problem, right? But I can't tell you how many hundreds of returns I've seen people like, you go, what? What are you talking about? Why does that matter? It doesn't impact you until you sell. And then you got this taxes hitting you and then you don't know what to do, right? Literally on, Rich, you get a kick out of April 17th, extended due date for individuals Monday. One of my clients that I actually helped broker their sale transaction, their client, like their little 2% partner, was like, I'm in TurboTax. They sent me a screenshot. I can't make this work. I'm like, you should not be doing your own tax return. Yeah. All right. The other thing you need to be smart about, if you've got rental real estate and you are a real estate professional. Do not make the mistake of going home, logging into TurboTax and like, okay, I know I got all these passive activity losses out there. Now I'm gonna make this aggregation election as a real estate professional, put them all together. You basically just hosed yourself. Okay, because now remember, passive activity losses only offset passive activity passive income. But now once you've decided, oh, I'm a real estate professional, I'm actively participating, actively engaging in these trades and businesses. Now you have active income that doesn't free up the passive losses. Maybe you don't want to make that aggregation election until you use up the losses. That's why you actually, it takes some brain damage or some, so you have to, every situation is unique, right? There is no panacea. There is no, okay, just check the box and it's done. You gotta be smart about it. And you can't make a late aggregation election. And the biggest one on this is this. And I say this, so if you have an exit event, or if you're you're a real estate agent and you're representing somebody and they come back and they're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe how much tax I have to pay on this transaction. This is insane. They're like, well, what do you mean? Like, how much tax you pay? And they're like 25%. You should automatically know, hold on. That CPA with a personality said it should only be 20% because you're involved in this thing. You probably need to make a late election. So that means you just tell you as real estate agents can't give professional advice, but you can sure heck fire, say, hey, you got to talk to a CPA that knows what they're doing because this doesn't make sense to me. Okay? I think I passed the real estate exam. Like, I know I can't give that advice, even though I'm an accountant. All right. That's what I just talked about. Let's also talk about, you guys know the Sears building that's now round one? You know it's for sale? 156,000 square feet of awesome. Right? $8.7 million, $60 a square foot. What do you think the cap rate is on that bad boy? 3, 4, 26% occupied.
Yikes.
No,
Is that good?
awesome. Like you were.
Oh, it's 20, it's 3 at 20, 4 at 26% occupied.
Yeah,
Oh, gotcha.
I think there's opportunity there.
Wow.
I think I get 74% for free. That's what I think. That's what I saw. Right? I was like, okay, I get it. Good.
They're selling the whole
The whole thing, right?
property, but they're only, round one is only how much percentage of?
26% rented.
Deferred maintenance.
All of it. All of it. So, and this one, I'm gonna take you through an example, because I talk fast and I'm animated, but I'll give you some numbers so that you can kind of latch onto this. So repair regulations. And this actually, I would say, if you're investing in real estate, if you're a real estate agent, you really, getting your mind around this thing, if anything, it's investment property will help you. So, the repair regulations. There you go. That'll help you remember. I was so proud of myself, spice it up a little bit. So, betterment, restoration, adaptation. The acronym is broad. Betterment, restoration, adaptation. So proud of myself. Okay, back to boring slides. When you first purchase a property under these new repair regulations, or new 5 years old now, under these repair regulations, the first time you buy a property and you place it in service, everything you do to that property generally gets capitalized. Okay, so we buy the Sears building, right? And $8 million. And then we say, okay, well, we're going to renovate the HVAC, all the deferred maintenance. You don't want to do that when you have a tenant in it. Learned that when I bought my office building. More on that later. Right? I'm going to do the TIs. You capitalize all of that because that's either going to hit either betterment or restoration or to convert it. Actually, a lot of these big malls now are going to residential. Because, right? You think if I'm the mall owner, if I'm Herb Simons, I'm like, do I want people living around all these stores? Yes. right? I'm gonna go walk to the mall and go through the food court, it's perfect. So, yeah, actually, I think Michigan, I saw some case studies where they started, re-provisioning these things to single family residences. I wouldn't even want to think about what the sewer connection hookup fees would be in that thing, city of Reno zoning change. So, but it's interesting. But again, it's a property that you can get really cents on the dollar as our opportunity there. But the reason I mention it is this. So when I bought, so I don't know if you guys know, I own a 27,000 square foot commercial office building, corner of Holcomb and Ryland. You've been in real estate for any amount of time, you know, the little Stewart Title building. I bought that building 12 years ago. It's interesting because we're talking about the different ways to finance it. I bought that building, I assumed a non-recourse loan. And my only money into that building was $126,000 to pay the real estate. So I got it for free. Your worst case scenario is gonna my mortgage was roughly what I was gonna have to pay for like real office space. Worst case scenario, we're gonna play soccer on the first floor of the city of Reno fire department moved out. Why not? We get to. But what I did when I bought that building, which was important, it was rented. So I rented it to my CPA firm and I had a couple other tenants in there. So then I placed the entire space in service. And then what I did, I ripped out 27,000 square feet of interior. Why did I do that? Why did I place it in service first and then rip it out rather than just rip it out?
Because of the tax advantage.
Demolition or some kind of. You get some kind of tax advantage for.
Everything I ripped out, I got it right off.
You put it in service.
So I rented it. So I had tenants, right? So my CPA firm said, I'm gonna rent 27,000 square feet of awesome, right? My offices were on the second floor, but it was like, okay, fine, you know. So I had a couple other tenants, and that's fine. But what that allowed me to do, because it was placed in service, right? I rented it to somebody, and then I did that for a year and a day. And then I kicked my CPA firm out of 2/3 of that. And then we ripped it out. And that allowed me to do a cost segregation study and write that off. Okay. So that was important. Okay. But these things basically betterment, restoration, adaptation, you know, BRA is anything I do to that thing when I begin, I'm going to have to capitalize. Any significant improvements to the property after I place it in service, I'm gonna have to capitalize as well. But what it really does is you look at there's 5 components in any commercial building, any real estate. Right? There's HVAC, plumbing, electrical, general structural, and I think something else, landscaping. But it's like unless you're redoing the whole system, you got to write it off. So basically, a lot of times afterwards, you can write those things off rather than capitalize them after year 1. All right. We all know we can write off $2,500 of anything every year. So should be a little attachment to your tax returns every year. Okay. Cost segregation. So what is this?
It's a nice kitchen.
Good. It's a kitchen. Now, if I was going to buy this kitchen or buy this house, I can do a cost segregation study. That's Cody in my office. Cody is one of those wicked smart people that we put in a really nice closet and just let him crank. You know, he's just so he goes in and he values everything in this kitchen. This decorative molding and millwork, right? If I buy this house for a rental, I can write that off in year 1. Okay, it's 5 or 7 year property, not 27.5 year property that's rental real estate, that's residential real estate. All of this casework, I get it right off. Now, are those lights, are those pendant lights? Do you need those lights to light this space? Yeah. They're called decorative lighting. I get to write those off. And not only do I get to write off the cost of the sconce, it's all the wiring all the way back to the electrical panel. Now, how does Cody value all that stuff? It's exciting. How does Cody value that in his closet? What's it? By the foot. By the foot, right? He has a software that we subscribe to that's called Marshall and Swift. we go in there and basically do an architectural drawing of this thing, and we say, this is a linear feet, this is how much this thing costs to build, and then that's how much we pull out for this big first year write-off, okay? Same thing, if you guys know anything about, I'm trying to think what kind of stove that is, what kind of range, I don't know, that could be a Thermador range top, what do you think in today's market that thing costs you if you can find it?
6,000.
10.
10 grand.
How much?
Fine.
$25,000.
Holy.
Okay, so that's where, yeah, the same thing with this range set is stupid. So anyway, so that's where we go in and we value that, and then for an investment, then we can write it off. Okay, yeah.
I heard that you need to have a engineering company do that because they have that engineer license, they're more qualified to identify different lighting and classify it.
So what you're,
Personal property.
yeah, what you're thinking of is called a 179D study. 179D, I'm gonna geek out a little bit, I apologize, but he asked. Okay, so if you do a retrofit to energy efficient lighting, you get up to $1.80 a square foot for that retrofit. And the only people that can do those studies are a certified engineering and lighting specialist. Okay. And so that's called 179 capital D, 179D, $1.80 a square foot. But that's where if you're buying, like, let's say we buy this Sears building, and then we go through and retrofit it. We have that company do that study, whoever my electrical engineer is, they're gonna do that study for me, and I'm gonna get my $1.80 deduction, 179D deduction back. That's how that works. Okay, but this one on the is called a cost segregation study. As long as you have the requisite skills and training to be able to do that study, a CPA firm or engineer, whoever can do that. I've been spent all my time at CPA firms. Cody was part of the National Tax Office of CliftonLarsonAllen doing these studies for taxpayers countrywide. So that's why we don't let them out of these classes. I do want to say, so let's just say probably the best example is of groups. Single family residence. How are we doing on time? What do I need?
You're fine.
Okay.
You have plenty of time.
Okay, another hour.
Sure. About a half hour.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, and that's where, investment property. How is investment property valued for purposes of selling? What are those indicators of value? Can't cover.
Zip code.
Cash flow. Say that?
I was gonna say zip code.
Zip code should indicate how much more you can rent it for or less, depending on which one it is. It's cash flow, right? Net operating income. So this, and a lot of times I have people that are like very motivated on the tax thing. That's why they track me down. But from an investment property perspective, you just have to appreciate that if you're writing everything off, that hits the repairs line on your profit and loss. And if you're, considering selling your property, what you're doing is you're getting this deduction and saving a max 37%, but at, a 6, 7, 8% cap rate, right, which is the inverse relationship to a multiple on net operating income, you can completely be shooting yourself in the foot. So let's say, for example, I decide to write off $100 as repairs that I otherwise could have capitalized, right? And let's say I have an 8% cap rate, which is going to work out to a 12 multiple. I just reduced the value of my property, my investment property, by $1,200. I save $37 in taxes. So that's why I always tell real estate investors, you have to know the cause and effect relationship between how your investment is valued versus the tax benefits that I talk about. Okay. So I got these top 10 things. I'm going to go through kind of casually, and hopefully it's good. What do I do?
You got a question?
Oh yeah, go ahead, John.
So if you're capitalizing, there's stuff you can't capitalize. I mean, I can't capitalize a chunk of pipe to fix something or a.
That's true.
So some of the repairs are uncapitalizable.
If it's a repair, it's a repair. Right? If all of a sudden your pipe to the toilet breaks, you're gonna replace the pipe to the toilet.
Okay,
Okay, so you have to capitalize. But remember, so one of the things you can do, you can make this de minimis election to write off $2,500 of otherwise capitalizable items. I can write that off. Understand how that impacts your enterprise value. You can, so a lot of times, like, let's say so I have now a 40-year-old building that has water source heat pumps in it. And, they have about a 10 to a 15-year service life. So I wish I would, when I had all three floors scraped, I wish somebody had told me, Bosma, spend the, $75,000 and replace all these water source heat pumps with new stuff. Nobody told me that. We were on a budget because it's a great recession. No change orders. So, that worked itself into about $300,000 of work. Because now I got to go above the grid. I got to do all this when I've got tenants in there. And of course, stuff goes up in value. So I'm replacing these water source heat pumps. It costs about 10 grand a pop. So there's this thing called qualified improvement property, or as a leasehold improvement. And we have a repair regs, but again, that allows you to deduct it. But because I've weighed in whether I want to sell this building or not, and had it in the market, right? The day it went on the market was the day that the governor shut down things for COVID. It's a buzzkill. Timing is everything. But I wanted to make sure that hit. I capitalized that cost because I could. I did not make the de minimis selection. I capitalized it and then took my qualified improvement property off. So if it has an asset class life of 15 years or less, you can write it off in the year that it's improved. So like I know how this game is played arithmetically. I capitalize everything I can as long as I get a current year deduction for it. Okay. So common mistakes in practice. I started with, you're a real estate professional, you don't put all your stuff together, right? You pay an extra 3.8% income tax on the income from the property and its eventual sale. We don't make this little easy election, the aggregation election. So cost segregated depreciable property on personal property declaration. This is actually so remember the kitchen I had? So if you own a business, like if you have a rental, the Washoe County assessor is going to tell you have to file a personal property declaration on this tangible personal property with this rental. So, and the mistake people do, right? They have their depreciation schedule. So like one of the things Cody does is he breaks out the refrigerator and the range and all the rest of it. And so they're like, like, okay, how do I report this on my tangible personal property declaration, right? Which is made for desks and chairs like this, not for refrigerators. As real estate agents, we know refrigerators are a so, okay, what about the oven?
A fixture.
It's a fixture, right? So we know it's a fixture. So and that's where, and for purposes of the Washoe County personal property declaration, they consider that refrigerator part of the real estate that's included in the real estate value, not the tangible personal property. But that's where you kind of have this one thing going on for federal tax and this other thing going on for Nevada taxation. And there are just two different sets of rules. They do not talk to each other. So I see a lot of people, they go do that, break out all that cost segregation work on the kitchen, on the nice kitchen, that kitchen. If you're going to remodel your kitchen today, what's it going to cost?
50 grand.
Minimum, right? If you got an individual small house, right? 50 grand minimum.
Like the slide you just showed, or like?
That's a $200,000 kitchen. That's a $200,000 kitchen. So that's what I mean. It's like, you just have these two different rules, but Nevada property taxation is versus federal taxation. And that's what number two is. You like, hey, I break out that cabinet, and then I put in on my personal property declaration.
It's a touch screen, so if you can kind of make it small again, it'll work again. There you go. Now you can, yeah.
That's actually pretty. Sales tax, if you have any amount of tangible personal property, this is just a little gift, just because it's fascinating me, nobody else. Sales taxes are required to be included on the tangible personal property tax declaration. Under depreciation of qualified leasehold improvements, I did a cost segregation study on a new office building here. And I said, well, you gotta capitalize all those build outs for your tenants. And like, oh, no, those tenants took possession, and this unit was placed in service before we did $1 of qualified tenant improvements, qualified improvement property. So that way they can write that off, right? TIs are now around about $100 a square. So that's where like, it's a big write-off if you do it right. Special purpose entity to own 1245 property rather than the operating company. So a lot of the work that I do is helping structure your business affairs if to be able to maximize your not only your enterprise value, but also minimize your tax. So this thing's called the self-rental rule. So I won't bore you with the details, but it's one of those things. Hey, if I own my 1245 property in a separate entity, if I have a business, I can basically not pay sales tax or pay sales tax on a little bit of it. This is the fun. This is the 60. So common things like, so in tax reform, they say 199 cap A. 199 cap A is, when the corporate tax rates were going down to 21% from 34%. And they said, well, what about us business owners? What about us? What about us little guys? And they said, we're going to give you this 199 cap A if, for certain types of taxpayers, it's 20% deduction, like manna from heaven. Okay, so it's like, I make $100,000 in my real estate trader business, net. And I'm like, I can only pay tax on 80 grand of it, as long as you're getting your 199 cap A. The problem is, if you're single, it starts running out of juice to 300 and change, 300,000 and change. If you're married, it's 400,000 and change. The problem is, you might need wages for qualified business property, fixed assets, to be able to take advantage of this 20% deduction. Okay, so probably the easiest way to think about this is, if you killed it, absolutely killed it last year or this year. Nobody's killing it this year. Last year, in your real estate business, that's where it's like, hey, maybe you should have been an S corporation rather than a sole proprietorship. Then you could have paid yourself some wages. Then you could have maximized your 199 cap A deduction, 20% deduction, like manna from heaven. And oh, by the way, you just eliminate all your self-employment tax on anything that's not wages. Okay, that's how that works. Now, somebody said, I sold my rental. Now what's true about is, if the ship has sailed on, I took possession of the money, you cannot do a lifetime exchange. You have to use a qualified intermediary to be able to escrow that money. You then have a 45-day identification period and a 180-day replacement period for 1031 lifetime exchange. Qualified opportunity zones came about as part of tax reform. And so early on, actually, Rich and I, we were knee deep in this opportunity zone stuff. I actually had a summit. We had one here the year that these things rolled out, and had like 400 people there, and brought in national speakers on this is how opportunity zones work. They're alive and well in Reno and Sparks. Basically, there's a corridor that goes right down the river and right up Virginia. That is our qualified opportunity zone. So there's still properties in that zone that are being developed. Probably the most prominent qualified opportunity zone is Red Development across from the pepper mill. That's Chip Volbe's development. All qualified opportunity zone. That means Michael Milken, the junk bond trader, Michael Milken, made all these capital gains, and he rolled a big chunk of it into that investment. Didn't pay tax, right? And then 12/31/2026, he's going to pay 80% of the tax. And then whatever gain they have after holding it for 10 years will be forever tax-free. Okay. The rules they're similar to 1031. That's why a lot of times people get those confused. You have 180 days to make an investment, qualified opportunity zone investment. And that could either be in a qualified opportunity zone fund or in a qualified opportunity zone business. But the beauty is, if that gain to you is reported on a Schedule K1, as 1231 gain, which if you sold your rental house, that's what it should be. It can be as late as 6 months after the following year. So it's deemed to have a sale happen on 12/31 of the year of sale. So it's like, and it's 180 days. It's not quite June 30th. It's like June 27th or 28th, depending on the year. So it's one of those things like people are like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I owed so much tax on all this stuff. you can still do a qualified opportunity zone investment. So one of the things that my CPA firm does and did is we brought on Brian Wheeler. He is a registered investment advisor, RIA, is a fiduciary, to be able to help people make those types of investments. Right? So because it's way outside of my pay grade, I'm a tax guy, but he knows investing. So that's where if you need something like that, it's like, this is what we have locally on that slim pickings right now. There's one. And then there's all kinds of them all across the country. But there's very real, especially if it was just like your personal that you did and you want to be able to look at those. And those investments are a little complicated. You know, it's not like buying your own real estate. You know, you're in a fractional piece of a big project. So you really have to understand, you know, your liquidity, when you're going to get that money out, when you're going to pay the tax, 12/31/2026. All it takes time to do your due diligence on it. Because remember what I said, all tax planning is financial planning. So you just got to make sure it's right for you on that piece. Okay. What are you getting on your hard money stuff?
10%.
Okay. If you have you know, I know a guy. I know a guy. I think he's got 400 million out right now. So he does all kinds of stuff. So if you want, qualified opportunity zone, Delaware statutory trust. A lot of times when you sell your property, and that's where especially something's like, probably the best way to think of this is, in fact, so the guy that I rented the house next door to my office building in the parking lot, his name's Louis Test, he used to be a City of Reno manager, or attorney, City of Reno attorney. And that was Louis' childhood home. And he has zero basis in the property. So I said, Louis, I want to buy the property. He said, I can't sell it to you. I'm going to pay too much tax. So I said, well, Louis, you can do a Delaware statutory trust. And a Delaware statutory trust basically allows you to do what feels like a tenancy in common, but you can invest into a partnership instead of a tenancy in common in that partnership. And a lot of times, if you have, especially like very large syndicated deals that have financing, the lender isn't going to let you do the TIC. Because they're going to say, no, I need to make sure we got everybody in on this deal, and they're not going to just finance a part of it. They can't foreclose on 2/3 of it. They have to foreclose on all of it. So this Delaware statutory trust is a slick way to be able to do like-kind exchange in the Pelham. You guys are familiar with that, right? You know, like everybody start single-family residences that you start your investing career on, right? Because I understand that maybe it's my own single-family residence. I rent the thing out, but then when the toilet clogs, who do they call? The landlord, right? These things really allow you to say, I got professional management, I'm a little piece of a big deal. And what happens is, from a state tax planning perspective, it's just included in your estate. When you die, you get to step up, you can then sell it, no tax. Right? So the idea in real estate, hold it till you die, they'll never pay tax. Okay, so this just allows you to get into some more passive investments rather than you being the one that has to change the light bulb from the brick. I mentioned not using qualified intermediary on 1021s. This I've never heard of. 30 years of practice. Ton is like you go to your real estate agent, talk to your mortgage broker, talk to the escrow agent. Hey, I'm doing 1031, right? Then hook you up with Starker Services. No big deal. $750, whatever it costs. I've had 2 of those blow up this year. But you didn't use an intermediary? Like, even if you're not certain, just leave it in. Like, if you're trying to move money from this year to next, you know, just, you're going to sell a house now? Sell it, throw it into that thing. If the street is an installment sale, you'll pay tax on it next year. Yeah, if that's a better tax situation for you. The biggest no-brainer ever. Use a qualified intermediary. Now, this is one, I mentioned that tax planning is all financial planning. If you're in real estate, if I can just encourage you to have a pile of money in your IRA, as much as you can stuff in there. Okay, and I'll show you why. Well, let's just say for giggles that you make 120 grand a year. Right? And then you decide, hey, I heard this CPA with a personality say I could go buy the Sears thing in Meadowwood for $8 million. And I, for sake of example, because I already wrote it here, let's say my all-in's at 10. Right, after costs and fees and all, so my all-in's at 10. And then I get some of these people that they'll finance the thing with nothing down. As I've learned, I gotta tell people in the room, like, hey, if this thing is cash flowing, I don't need anything down. I'll do that in a second. Right, especially because then you look at the underlying collateral base, like, you know, hey, 156,000 square feet, you know, okay, I feel pretty good about that. So let's say that return is 4% per year. I know that if I do my cost seg study, remember the kitchen? If I do that kitchen, I'm gonna get 20% of it as first year deduction. And this is the year you became a real estate. You quit your job. You told the government no more. Right? And so you now have $1.8 million loss that you can't carry back, and they kill that, you want to carry it forward. So what I tell people is, if you're going into real estate, put as much as humanly possible, not into your put in your 401k, but have a hardship withdrawal provision in your 401k if you control it, it's your business. But have the ability to pull that and get that into an IRA. Because this thing, guys, right here, right? If you can say, hey, I'm going to invest, when I become a real estate professional, I'm going to invest and it'll wipe out my income. You're better off converting all of your retirement money into Roth IRA. And if you can do it for free, like there's no tax here, and loss. Then when you're doing your 10% hard money loans, it's all 100% tax free forever.
That's what I do.
There you go. Okay, but that's where what I see is people, if they understand the real estate vertical, they're like, real estate, really, I can put everything in. I'm like, well, guys, you need to fund this other stuff. Like, well, I don't really need the deduction anymore. They're putting it in a Roth. It's fine. Okay, but to the extent that you can afford it, stuff. Because then you're going to be able to, find this investment, go big, and then you're like, oh, I wish I would have been able to convert all that stuff. This has to be done in the year of purchase. So you can't like wait till April 15th or October 15th, let your accountant say, oh, well, too bad, so sad, you should, you're going to have to remind them that, hey, I've got this big loss coming. Is there any way I can convert this money before you're in? Why they still let you? Last round of legislation, they're talking about eliminating that loophole.
Can you use it the following year with carryover or no?
Actually, I take it back. You can. The net operating loss will carry over. They do have now a limitation on how much NOL you can offset. You might be in a little taxable situation, so it's not as good as doing it in your or if you don't have an NOL carryover.
You can't just do an exchange from either a 401k or a 403b to an IRA.
You have to, not if you're still working. You have to usually, in a normal plan, you have to separate service to be able to do that transfer.
Even if it's your own business?
If it's your own business, the plan has to have a provision that says you allow for hardship distribution. And ask me how I know this. Right? And that's why I said we're doing all of our own plans now with Brian, right? The financial advisory thing. I'm like, because everybody else, they have the standard forms that they give you to the center of your phone. Here, sign here, sign up for your plan. Nobody, well, why do you want a hardship distributions? Because I want to be able to do this. I was just putting it in this plan for a minute because there's going to be this opportunity to convert this. So that's where I like right now. That's why the standard stuff, man, it whips it. And you don't know because then it's too late, right? It's too late. Good question. Other questions? If you know what my billable rate was, I said this is like free advice. Like literally. My exorbitant billable rate. Yeah.
A Delaware statutory trust, if you put an asset into an NFT to try to fractionalize it, can you do that through that as well?
It depends on generally, it's actually good.
I'm experimenting here, but I really want to do it with my project.
Yeah, you have to look, usually those things are very large syndicated projects. It's going to be based on what that project is. If it's your own, I've never looked at that. Yeah, well, this is that's the fun part. Right? Like, okay,
Can you repeat the question?
Can you put your NFT in the Delaware statute? Can you put your NFT in the DST? A lot of TLA. Go ahead.
I know John and I have discussed this, if you do a cost segregation and then you 1031 into another property from one. The recapture on, like, can you 1031 the personal property that you depreciated?
You can, but I'll tell you, that's technical as heck. So basically, the memo that I wrote for my national tax office when I was at CLA, I said, I think you can, and they agreed. Because it's treated as real estate under state law. That's the important part. It's taxed as tangible personal property for federal income tax, but it's real estate under state law. So that's what drives it. If it's real estate under state law, you can do the 1031. And remember, in real estate, if you sell tangible personal property, what has to, can you do that under a real estate contract? No, you have to have a bill of sale. So that's where it's like, hey, if you have your contract as a traditional real estate deal with no bill of sale, there is no tangible personal property for state law. This is why I'm so excited about being a real estate salesperson as well as a CPA, because I never understood any of that. Right? I was like, you'd have to have a bill of sale to have tangible personal property. Yeah.
You're filing federal taxes.
There was two separate rules.
No, I understand they're two separate, I'm saying, but the federal tax rule.
What the federal tax rules say is, if it is real estate under state law, it's real estate for purposes of 1031. That was free.
Now he tells me.
I'm telling you, man, like, I was looking at that, and I'm like, I think I got there, right? Like, I was, they're like, no, that's how it works. But that's why it's so hard to be like a sole practitioner, small firm. This stuff is wicked complicated. Man, I've got firms now across the country, a handful of them that we've just connected, and they're just like, when they got into difficult stuff, they just call and like, can you help us work through this stuff? Yeah, go ahead.
Do IRS agents understand this stuff?
No, and especially, well, I'd say actually at a high level, absolutely. But at a low level, actually the two auditors here, I know I've worked with them both, they're great people. But the 87,000 that are coming online, the CPAs, it's really you, because as taxpayers, you're gonna pay me, the CPA, to train the auditor on how all these rules work. And then they're like, really? Like, go run it up before I go skip it. So but that's why we work in concert. This is what the rules are.
So the state law here in Nevada says it's real estate. How about in other states it's not classified as same?
If it's not classified in real estate, it wouldn't qualify for 1031. Right. So basically, in our world, if it has a bill of sale, the amount that's reported on the bill of sale for the consideration for the sale of tangible personal property would not be qualified to do the 1031.
So we're in a good state, relatively speaking.
By and large, real estate, because of it's affixed to the land or the improvements to the land. It's just getting into that. When you're in the middle and what is it? The refrigerator is probably the best example. I don't know how much purchase and sale agreements you guys see with the refrigerator broken out on the bill of sale. I don't do a lot. I don't really do any residential, so I don't know. You guys know better than I do. Good questions. Others in the back.
At what point is it beneficial to have your real estate investment property under an LLC versus just a?
Great question. Talk to your attorney. They're going to say always. I always look to it. Is there enough value there if somebody is going to sue you that it's worth going after? The LLC is kind of an easy barrier to that. Candidly, especially, I would say I used LLCs a lot when we were unwinding and rewinding all of our real estate transactions back in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Because basically the state, they can only give a charging order. So if you own 100% of your LLC, there's a position to be had. It's like, well, I'll give you all the income, but you can't make me send you the cash if there's no cash distributed. So by and large, they ignore those LLCs. for purposes of settling up debts with creditors. You know, but they might be a little more zealous if it's got $10 million of real estate with no debt on it, you know. So in that case, they're gonna want at least 10% owner on it. It's your brother. Right? Then they can't get after it. So that's why you do that, you know. It's like if you never go through the mess, then it's no big deal. But if you do, you'll wish you had. And now it's, you know, depending on what kind of entity it is, it's $400 or $500 a year to carry it. Yeah.
You mentioned some kind of $20,000 deduction. You use the example, if you had $100,000, you made $100,000, then you could only have to pay tax on $80,000.
Yeah, so that's 199 cap rate. So here, I'll show you how that. So I've got Schedule C income of $100,000. Right? And let's say I have no deductions and no self-employment tax, which doesn't work that way, which is bear with me. Okay. And let's say that equals my taxable income. I get 20%, 199 cap A is also called qualified business income deduction as a deduction. So that's $20,000 deduction on tax time income. So that's why, you know, there's a real value prior to tax reform, right? Okay, you know, I get pretty much charged this, you know, the same tax rate on my wages as my business income. Now there's a 20% haircut on business income. So of course, I'm a fan of everybody should be in business. Or I call it the side hustle. Not everybody's got to have a way to make a buck or two on the side. And probably the best example of that, I had a client of mine. She got referred in actually by a real estate agent, and they were under audit for their business. And they're I don't know how to say this. I don't know what the politically correct. So they're Asian nail salon.
In the beauty industry.
That's it. Right. So, you know, a little shop, a lot of anestheticians doing nails for people. And then she got into doing eyelashes. And she's from Vietnam, and sweet lady. And they had a family farm in Vietnam, and they were buying these eyelashes from all the different places ladies buy, or, you know, anestheticians buy eyelashes from. And they look like caterpillars on their eyes. And so she started experimenting, and so she found a way that she made eyelashes that looked more natural. And then she built originally a shop that made itself into a building on the family farm, and then hired single moms to come in and make eyelashes for her, and then she would sell them. And then these single moms would show up from the village, and if you're from that village in Vietnam, there is no such thing as social, you know, welfare or any of that. You know, you're basically left to her own devices to make a buck, or you're going to starve and your kid will starve. So she had all these single moms coming from the village, and she didn't have a heart to tell them no. So she ended up with a whole warehouse full of eyelashes. And she's like, hey, I really can't sell this many eyelashes out of my beauties. So she had to figure a way how to sell eyelashes. So 2022, they're going to do $30 million in sales.
Wow.
Right, she sold off the nail salon. But now she trains other anestheticians how to, you know, lace her eyelashes onto their clients. Right, and so that was the side hustle that became the main hustle. So yeah, one of the funnest things. We valued her business. At the end of last year is over $100 million.
Wow.
Yeah, I call it generational wealth. I just got goosebumps. You know, I'm an accountant, right? But that's where it's like, no, if you do this right and well, and in fact, that one was interesting. I knew the auditor. I used to work with her at Grant Thornton, and I said, their accounting is just completely jacked. We're just going to redo it and give it to them. Right, so she took it, stamped it, audit done. They were able to get on it. They were able to sell eyelashes. But But that's where it's like, yeah, they didn't understand, or they didn't know what they didn't know. And actually, Rich was a big part of that. So that's where it's like, if you can really make people's lives better, like they're like, they took us out to this big celebration dinner, and that thing was baked and put to bed, and they're just, it saved our business. So it's like, that's where, it's the same thing, is you're helping your clients, and if you're a real estate agent, or if you're trying to, I have like a heart, I guess, a passion to help people. And so if there's, if you can figure a way to help people, make a buck or two. All right, I see it is 7:35, but thank you so much. You guys figured it out. It's a great question.
Thank you.